Have you ever looked around and wondered, why do I feel so different? Not just unique, not special, different. Like no matter how much you try to fit in, something inside you just doesn't agree with this world. The way people think, the way they follow the rules without questioning anything, the way they accept this reality like it's all there is. You laugh, you talk, you do what's expected, but deep down, it's like you're playing a role in someone else's script. If you've been carrying that quiet pain, the feeling that you don't belong here, this message is for you. You're not broken. You're not imagining things. And no, this isn't just in your head. That discomfort you feel around certain people, that urge to isolate and just think, that deep, unshakable awareness that something is off with this world, it's real. You've never fit in, not in your family, not in school, not in relationships, and the reason why, you were never meant to. There are people like you, people who have always seen through the noise, people who ask questions others are afraid to ask, people who feel energy when they walk into a room, who get overwhelmed by lights, sounds, small talk, yet feel peace under the stars or in complete silence. You've always known there's something else, something bigger, and that whisper you've heard since you were a child, the one that told you this world is not your home, that whisper has been trying to wake you up. They called you too intense, too sensitive, too emotional. But what if all those things were signs? What if your sensitivity was never a flaw, but a sign you were built to feel more, to know more, to see more? You've tried to ignore it. You've distracted yourself. You've doubted yourself. But still that feeling persists. The feeling that you are meant for something different, that there's a mission, a calling, a purpose. You've had moments you couldn't explain, dreams that felt more real than reality, numbers that kept repeating, moments of clarity that appeared out of nowhere. You started to see behind the mask, behind the programming, and suddenly everything began to shift. They call it awakening, a remembering. Some call it a glitch in the matrix. Others call it a spiritual activation. But whatever name you give it, the experience is real. And once it begins, there's no going back. You've spent your whole life trying to be like everyone else, when the truth is, you were never supposed to be. The system wasn't made for you. You weren't designed to obey. You were created to question, to feel, to guide. They may have labeled you as different, but ancient wisdom called you something else. The chosen, the ones who carry a deeper knowing, the ones who wake up first, the ones who break the patterns and reveal the truth. If you're watching this right now, it's not by accident. There's a reason this found you, because something inside of you is remembering, and what you're about to hear next will explain everything. Before I show you the truth they've kept from you your entire life, take a moment. Hit subscribe if you've always felt it too. That inner pull, that quiet knowing you were never like the rest. This isn't just a video. This is your place now, your people, the ones who see the world the way you do. Michael never fit in, not at school, not at home, not even in his own skin. Since he was a child, he carried a strange weight, the feeling that he didn't belong in this world. While the other kids played outside, Michael would stare at the sky for hours, wondering why the stars seemed more familiar than his own reflection. His parents said he was just imaginative. Teachers said he was too quiet. The world around him demanded noise, normality, obedience, but none of it ever made sense to him. While others laughed, he asked questions, deep questions, questions that made adults uncomfortable, like, why do people lie and call it love? Or what happens to the soul before birth? He was told to stop, to act normal. But to Michael, normal felt like a prison, like a lie someone else made up and forced everyone to believe. At age 10, Michael began seeing things that others couldn't, shadows moving at the corner of his vision, whispers that didn't come from any mouth, feelings that weren't his, pain, sadness, anxiety. But he could feel them so deeply, it was like they were inside his bones. No one believed him. Some said it was his imagination. Others said he was too sensitive. But the truth, Michael was an empath, an old soul, a spiritually attuned being thrown into a world that teaches people to shut down their hearts. The signs were all there. The disconnection, the exhaustion after being in crowds, the desire for solitude, the hypersensitivity to pain and beauty. But no one ever taught him what those signs meant. He lived most of his life thinking something was wrong with him. By the time he turned 14, he'd started dreaming about places that didn't exist here. Landscapes filled with impossible colors, celestial symbols, and voices that spoke in vibrations instead of words. In these dreams, he wasn't scared. He was home, and each time he woke up, the pain of being here would hit harder. A sense of loss for something he couldn't explain, a grief for a home he never remembered leaving. He'd walk through school hallways feeling like a ghost, pretending to care about grades and gossip while his soul screamed for truth. At 21, Michael gave up trying to belong. The pressure to be like everyone else had drained him. He stopped pretending. He stopped chasing friendships that felt empty. He disconnected from the world, not because he wanted to, but because it never felt real to him in the first place. It was during this solitude, in the stillness of his own pain, that something began to shift. He stumbled upon ancient texts, spiritual teachings, and quantum concepts that seemed to explain everything he had ever felt. Ideas about energy, frequency, consciousness, writings about empaths, starseeds, and the black sheep of the family who were actually born to break generational cycles. Suddenly, his entire life started to make sense. He wasn't broken. He was awakening. All those years of feeling alone in the world were never a punishment. They were preparation. The spiritual awakening symptoms he battled, the isolation, the intense emotions, the dreams, the visions, they weren't signs of dysfunction. They were signs of evolution. Michael hadn't come here to fit in. He had come to wake up. And maybe, just maybe, so did you. Maybe that feeling of being different isn't something to fear. Maybe it's the only honest part of you that survived the noise. And if that's true, then what comes next isn't just an answer. It's a remembering. It wasn't random. None of it. Not the dreams, not the silence, not even the loneliness. Michael began to realize that his entire life was full of messages, clues left behind in plain sight. During one of his long nights of solitude, when the outside world had finally gone quiet, he stumbled upon writings that would change everything. Ancient texts, obscure records, teachings that felt more like memories than new information. They spoke of beings who came to Earth from distant star systems. Starseeds, they called them. Souls sent here with a higher mission, encoded with purpose, but born into amnesia. Beings who forget who they are, until the time is right to remember. As Michael read, something deep inside him stirred. The words didn't feel foreign. They felt familiar, as if they were written for him, or maybe by him. They described everything he had ever felt, feeling misunderstood, not belonging anywhere, carrying a strange spiritual calling without knowing why. They described the pain he lived with, not as a curse, but as part of the design. He wasn't battling depression. He was carrying the weight of a world that was never meant to hold his frequency. His disconnect wasn't failure, it was signal interference. His soul was tuned to a truth this world had buried. The more he uncovered, the more everything began to make sense. The way he would feel drained around certain people, the way crowds would make his skin crawl, the sensitivity that others mocked or dismissed. Those were signs, signs of the chosen. The text spoke of activation, of remembering, of a veil lifting when the soul is ready. And suddenly, all those moments he thought were breakdowns, he could now see were breakthroughs. His sensitivity wasn't weakness, it was data. His isolation wasn't punishment, it was protection. And his pain, it was the key. The world had taught him to shrink, to question himself, to numb his knowing. But he now understood that wasn't an accident. It was a system designed to keep starseeds asleep, because when one awakens, others begin to awaken too. And once that begins, there's no turning back. That's why they keep it hidden. That's why they label you misfit, overthinker, black sheep, delusional, too emotional, too intense. But it's not intensity. It's frequency. It's not emotion. It's energy. And energy can't be destroyed. It only wakes up. And maybe that's what's happening to you right now. Maybe this isn't just another video you clicked out of curiosity. Maybe it's a mirror, a spark, a quiet reminder of what your soul has always known but has been too afraid to say out loud. You've felt the signs, haven't you? The repeating numbers, the strange dreams, the urge to isolate, the quiet voice that won't go away. You're not imagining it. You're not broken. You're remembering. And if any part of this feels familiar, if it's hitting a place so deep inside you that it hurts to hear, then you're already in the process. You're waking up, and the world is going to need you. But first, you need to remember who you are. If this is hitting deep, say it in the comments. I remember who I am. Let's see how many of us are finally waking up. They always knew. Long before you ever asked yourself, why do I feel so different? They already had the answer, and they feared it. Because your light, your energy, your presence was never something small. It was disruptive. Even as a child, before you had the words to explain what you were feeling, people around you sensed something in you they couldn't control. Maybe that's why the system tried to suppress it so early. Not just in Michael, but in all of us. The chosen ones were never meant to be accepted. They were meant to be hidden, labeled, silenced. Because when someone like you wakes up, it doesn't just change your life, it threatens the entire illusion they've spent centuries building. From the moment you were born, the world began shaping you into something smaller. Be polite. Sit still. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't ask too many questions. Stay in line. Do what you're told. Every system around you, education, religion, even family structures, was designed not to guide you, but to contain you. Because your very existence is proof that more exists, that this world isn't all there is, that we are not here just to survive, pay bills, and die. You've known this. You've felt it, and so have they. That's why they tried so hard to break you. Every time you were told your ideas were too much, your dreams were unrealistic, your voice was too loud, what they were really saying was, we're afraid of what you might awaken, because deep inside you is something they can't program, a knowing, a connection to something ancient, divine, and powerful, a spiritual mission written into your soul before you ever arrived on this planet. And no matter how much they tried to bury it under shame, trauma, and fear, it survived. That's why no matter how hard you tried to fit in, it never worked. You weren't made to repeat. You were made to remember. You weren't meant to follow. You were meant to lead, not through control, but through vibration, through light, through truth. But truth is dangerous in a world built on lies. Since ancient times, those who carried this kind of light were feared. They were called heretics, rebels, witches, prophets. They were exiled, burned, erased from the history books. But their essence never disappeared. It transformed. It traveled. It reincarnated. And now, it's waking up in you. Suddenly, the depression makes sense. The isolation, the anxiety, the sense of not belonging. It wasn't dysfunction. It was a response to spiritual amnesia, a reaction to being placed in a reality that doesn't align with your true nature. Your soul has been screaming for truth, and now, finally, you're beginning to listen. Everything that's happened to you, the confusion, the betrayals, the rejection, it wasn't to destroy you. It was to activate you, to strip away everything that isn't real, until only the truth remained. And here's that truth. They always knew who you were. But now, so do you. Pause. Sound stops. Flash. Then whisper. They always knew who you were. But now, so do you. And this is the moment everything shifts. If you're still here, if your heart is beating faster, if something in you is stirring, like an ancient fire being reignited, then keep watching. The real message is coming now. You've spent your whole life feeling like something was off, like you were walking through a world that wasn't built for you, like you were on the outside looking in, trying to understand how everyone else seemed so comfortable with the lie. You questioned your own mind, your own heart. You asked yourself, what's wrong with me? But what if the real question was never about what's wrong, and always about what's right? What if the very things that made you feel different, the sensitivity, the silence, the visions, the longing, were never weaknesses, but clues? Now it's starting to make sense. Every time you were labeled as too emotional, too intense, too quiet, too distant, those were signs. Signs that your soul carried a frequency this world didn't recognize. You were never broken. You were never lost. You were simply born awake in a world that has forgotten how to feel. And the pain you carried, it wasn't punishment. It was the echo of your mission calling you. That ache in your chest, the pressure behind your eyes when the world became too loud, the tears that came without warning, those were your soul's way of trying to break through the illusion. A spiritual alarm clock hidden inside your own nervous system. A whisper buried beneath the trauma, the programming, the masks. And now, you're finally hearing it clearly. You were never meant to follow the rules they gave you, because those rules were designed for people still asleep, people who haven't yet remembered who they are. But you were sent here to shift something, to break patterns, to guide, to light the way for others still lost in the dark. That's why you never fit in. That's why you've always felt alone. But look around now, truly look, And you'll see, you're not alone anymore. This awakening you're feeling? It's happening everywhere, quietly, invisibly, but powerfully, like a network of souls lighting up across the planet. And you're part of it, a living signal, a reminder that the old world is fading and the new one is waking up. And if this message is hitting your soul, if your skin is tingling, your chest is tight, if you feel like something deep inside you is cracking open, that's not coincidence. That's remembrance. That's the real you finally rising. So let's speak the truth out loud, the one no one dared to tell you when you were younger, the one that was always too dangerous to say. You were chosen, but no one told you, until now. Pause, and what comes next will shake you even more. Because this isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning. The real transformation starts when you stop pretending and start remembering. And in the next video, I'll reveal why. You were chosen, but they forgot to tell you. Once you hear what's coming, you'll never look at your life the same way again. The next piece of the puzzle is titled, You Were Chosen, but No One Told You. And trust me, it will change everything. Before you go, I want to hear from you. If something in this message reached deep into you, if it felt like truth, drop a comment below. Say, I was chosen, or just write, I feel it. If you've been walking through life feeling like a ghost, and now you're waking up, let me know. Let's find each other. Let's speak this truth out loud. And if you're still here, still listening, you're ready. You're remembering. Don't let this truth fade. If your heart is racing, if your skin is tingling, if your soul is remembering, then this is your moment. Comment below, I was never random. Say it. Claim it. Let the algorithm feel our energy. Subscribe now. Not for me, but for you. For the version of you that's waking up. For the mission that's finally being activated. Like this video if something shifted inside you tonight. If you felt seen, understood, remembered. And share it with the one person you know who's always felt different. They've been waiting for this message, and you might be the one who delivers it. Now, go to the next video. The journey is just beginning.